Good morning and welcome to Tuesdays with the Pilgrim as we continue reading Flying Against Time, Chapter 14. Ted, Scott, and Jackson leapt from the car and were after the fugitives in a flash. Anger lent speed to their feet, and they rapidly closed in on the rascals. Ted plunged into one of them like a load of bricks and brought him to the ground. Jackson grabbed the other by the collar and twisted his hand in it until the fellow's tongue hung out. Choking, sputtering, and protesting, the miscreants were dragged back into the road. Then their captors released them. The lights of the car fell full on the forms and faces of Greg and Duck Gale. Ted surveyed them witheringly. "You unspeakable skunks," he said. "You yellow dogs! I might have known that it was no one else than you who could do a thing like this." "We'll beat you to a pulp," gritted Jackson between his teeth. "This is an outrage," stammered Greg. "You'll pay for this," blustered Duck. "Oh, I'll pay all right," promised Ted as he threw off his coat. "I'm going to start paying right away, and I promise you that interest will go along with it. Take off your coats, you rats. You're going to get the trimming of your lives." "What's all this about anyway?" protested Greg as he cast his eyes wildly about for some way of escape. "Yeah, what have we done?" put in Duck, as pale as ashes. "You—" "Don't let's waste time in talking," interrupted Ted. "Come on, you skunks, and take your licking." "Where do I come in on this deal?" asked Jackson. "You take one, I'll take the other." "I don't want to be selfish, Jackson," said Ted, "but I'm going to change the looks of both of them, and I won't be cheated. All I want you to do is see that they don't run away. If they pick up a rock or a stick, pitch into 'em. Otherwise, just stand by." Still, Greg and Duck hesitated to accept the challenge. "Afraid, are you?" taunted Ted. "Yellow as saffron. See if this will wake you up," and he slapped Greg squarely across the mouth. Even a rat will fight when cornered, and with a squeal of rage, Greg sailed in, followed by Duck. Ted met Greg with a terrific blow to the jaw that rocked him from head to heels. He ducked a swing from Duck and countered with a left that sent him sprawling. Then the battle was on. Both were bulkier and heavier than Ted, but even at that they were no match for him. Their muscles were flabby from dissipated living, while his were like steel. Then, too, they lost their heads while he kept his. To cap it all, they were cowards, while he was filled with the joy of battle. For a full 5 minutes the battle lasted. Ted could have finished it sooner, but he did not want to. He had promised them the drumming of their lives, and he was out to fulfill his promise. His arms were working like piston rods. He struck his antagonists when and where he would. He went around them like a cooper around a barrel. When they went down under his rain of blows, he yanked them back to their feet. They got in some blows, but Ted's quick ducking and shifting made most of them glancing ones that did no damage. His own landed where he wanted them to. He purposely refrained from knocking them out. That could wait until he was ready. So it was only after the eyes of both were swollen and nearly closed, their noses bleeding and their faces like raw meat, that he gave them the coup de grace. A left to the point of the chin stretched Greg out on the ground. Another one right on the button put Duck out of commission. Both lay sprawling. Greg unconscious, and Duck nearly so. Jackson was fairly dancing with delight. "Oh boy," he shouted. "What a beauty! A peach! That I should ever see to live such a scrap! I'll never forget it till the last day of my life. Oh, what a blastin' you gave those rats!" "They had it coming to them," panted Ted as he resumed his coat. "Get some water from the radiator, Jackson, and throw it over that fellow there," he said, pointing to Greg. "I don't want to have to carry him to the hospital." "I'd rather carry 'em both to jail," stated Jackson. He doused Greg with right good will until the latter stirred feebly and opened his eyes, as far as their swollen condition permitted. Where am I?" he muttered. "Right here on the road, you dirty dog, where Mr. Scott has stretched you," Jackson informed him cheerfully. "And that precious brother of yours is right alongside you." Duck had raised himself painfully to a sitting position and was staring about confusedly. "They seem to be pretty groggy," remarked Ted. "Here, Jackson, let's help them to their feet." They pulled the disleveled wrecks upright, but their sagging legs would hardly support them. "I suppose you have a car somewhere around here?" Ted asked curtly. Yes," stammered Greg. "Then let's find it and get out," sternly commanded Ted. I can't see to drive," whimpered Greg. Me either," muttered Duck. They were so utterly done up that Ted was in a quandary. "I don't suppose we ought to leave them here in this condition," he said to Jackson. "Put 'em in the bushes and let 'em sleep it out," suggested the latter. "I don't like to do that," objected Ted. "I'll tell you what, Jackson, you hunt up their car and put them into it. They're in no shape to either walk or drive. Take them home and I'll go back alone in the roadster." Jackson grumbled a little, but complied. He found the car and hustled the two young rascals into it. Then he took his position at the wheel and drove off by way of Greenfield, while Ted followed not far behind in his roadster. "Where now?" asked Jackson as Ted drew up alongside when they had reached the outskirts of Bromville. "Take them to the Hotel Excelsior," directed Ted, "and dump them on that father of theirs. No doubt he had a hand in the doings of this evening. It'll be a case of having his chickens come home to roost." He turned his own car towards home, while Jackson drove on to the palatial hotel. The band was playing in the pavilion, and the veranda was filled with guests as Jackson stopped the car at the foot of the broad steps. A uniformed attendant stepped up and opened the door of the car. He started back as he looked at the huddled, sprawling forms within. "What?" he was beginning, when Jackson checked him. "Listen, buddy, you better get the old man and tell him to come here for a minute." The attendant ascended the steps in a hurry, and in a moment came back with Brewster Gale, whose face was drawn into a heavy frown. "What's this?" he demanded truculently, as he looked into the car. "It's them precious sons of yours," replied Jackson. "I picked 'em up on the road. They're pretty well done up." "What's happened to them?" asked Gale in alarm. "They ran into a thrashing machine," chuckled Jackson. "The name of the thrashing machine is Ted Scott." "Ted Scott!" cried Gale angrily. "Better put on the soft pedal unless you want to make these fellas a laughingstock around your hotel," cautioned Jackson. "Yes, Ted Scott trimmed 'em both, and when you get better look at 'em you'll admit he did a good job. So long." He turned and went whistling down the drive, while the enraged father with attendants, who were hastily summoned, took the machine around the back of the entrance and smuggled the battered rascals up to their rooms. "Why, Ted!" exclaimed Charity as her idolized foster son came into the room where she was knitting. "Where did you get that bruise on your cheekbone?" "Oh, it's nothing, Mother. I had a little fracas on the road," Ted answered carelessly. "You ought to see the other fellows," he added with a grin. And that's the end of Chapter 14. We'll continue next week with Chapter 15, The Ominous Tick-Tock. Until then, take care, stay safe, and God bless.